Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. Last week was a big moment for the party as they had to come together to start the heavy discussions. But in order to do that, they first had to find Leah. So they spent some time locating Leah. Leah went around town very upset at a decision the party had made. And blowing off steam by helping people. Eventually, they found her in the Mages Guild, where she had found, though not looking for her at all at this point, the mother of a former party member, Shiva Galandel, and was relaying some information about their time together. Troubled by this information, and more troubled when the two Dragonborn came barging in and started talking about some very dangerous topics. She had made herself invisible and tried to get out of the room undetected, but...
Say about it, pretty much?
Yeah, she failed. And told the party, after revealing herself, the assembled portion of the party, that they should bring whatever information they have about the Risen Dragons to the Archmage this evening, as she is busy with many things and cannot handle their information. They returned to the mansion that is being used by Vendar's mother and reconnected with the rest of the party, including Cyrus, who had apparently vanished again thanks to the chaos he has been imbued with by Brendan, the stranger in the Feywild. At this point, they linked minds with the Telepathic Bond and tried to settle down to their important topics of discussion, which were going to be how they actually wanted to deal with the dragons, whether they would be putting them to sleep or fighting Tiamat, the implications therein, what they needed or wanted to do about Tatsuya and how that would factor into their future plans, seeking out the remaining scales regardless, and how that would factor into things, and also on the docket was speaking to Raiken about his time in the Feywild before the party came and rescued him. As they were starting to broach some of these topics, they began talking about the philosophy of putting the dragons back to sleep and following, potentially, in the footsteps laid out for them 1,000 years ago by the hero Shagrazir, and calling into question his reasoning and the areas in which he failed to prepare the world for this set of events that the party is now dealing with. And it was at this point that the spirit of Shagrazir, communicating to Yukikaze through the armor that they share, decided he wanted to at least lend his voice here and try to shed some light on the reasons behind the choices he made a millennium ago. He left the party with the basic information that he had done what he felt was right, protecting the most lives he could, by putting the dragons to sleep and honoring the sacrifice of the children of Bahamut, who had given up their lives irreversibly in order to give mankind, humanoid kind, the ability to seal away the chromatic children of Tiamat, as they had been locked in a stalemate that was harming the peoples of the world and the world itself for millennia before that. He had never intended for those dragons to escape, and had been convinced to create the Platinum Sentinels by his very close friend and ally Tresnor. But he also wants the champion of Bahamut here to know that he and all champions of Bahamut must be champions unto themselves. They must choose their path through life, and regardless of how Yukikaze or even Tatsuya decides to follow follow Bahamut's example, that is the making of a hero of Bahamut. And then he vanished. So, you are left in the room here, as the armor, the glowing image of the spirit of Shagrazir, plated in his armor, framed by wings and tail, fades away. His final words, I believe, were, whatever you choose will make a fine champion of Bahamut. The armor, having never actually left the surface of the table, glistens in the candlelight here. You are still connected by telepathic bond. You have plenty of time remaining, as all of this happens at the speed of thought. So, here you are, in the front room of the mansion, Boarhunter Lodge. The whole party is here. You are telepathically connected. Jebel.
I'm not the only one who saw that, right?
What?
No, you're not.
Oh, come on, man. We could have pulled.
This is not the time for that. Also, I can't see Jebel or Raiken. Are they in the room?
Raiken is here,
blind.
Okay.
and Jebel is here.
I can't
Okay.
see Jebel.
Yeah, I don't see.
Can't
I
see
don't-
either of them either.
So long as I know they're in the room, that's all I need to know. Just was curious
Jebel's
to make sure.
literally right next to you.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
weird.
but it's the program, not the game. Oh,
Oh,
there it
there.
goes.
there
yeah,
now-
I moved
now
myself.
it's there.
I dropped out of the sky.
But yeah, just make sure of your green arrow for layer slicing, because tokens will disappear.
Yeah, I had to
I
move
don't know,
the white
everybody else was
one.
there.
Oh, yeah, also if the camera's too low, I guess. Weird.
I lowered the camera.
I don't know that. Don't ask me. I don't know things. Anyway, please. You have just witnessed the former champion of Bahamut telling you he did what he thought was right, and believes that Tatsuya is doing what he thinks is right, and knows that Yukikaze is going to do what he thinks is right. And that's all coolsies.
It's all ooh goo.
Yeah. Surely you have something to say about this.
Yes. So, what is it that you like? Do you at least have a leaning by now? Which option you think is best, Yukikaze?
Wait. Sorry, out of character. Say that again.
Do you at least have a leaning to which option you believe to be best?
Oh, I know what I'm going to do and what my choice is. It's for everyone to also choose what they feel is best for themselves.
That's not really how this works.
Yeah, we kind of gotta
These
have to decide.
goals are mutually exclusive. One happens, one does not. What are you picking?
You also hold the key
are
to
you-
succeeding in either direction. I look at your pendant.
Dun dun dun.
I'm not gonna just ignore our group choice, but my vote is to go Shagrazir's path, at least for now.
Alright. Laramendis, what do you think?
I think they should be put to sleep.
Jebel?
I agree. I'm not. I don't know. The whole thing of killing gods is a bit beyond my pay grade.
Leah, I imagine I know how you lean on this, but I'm going to ask regardless.
Oh no, I don't want to killed.
I imagine I know how the other two lean on this, but I'm going to ask regardless. Vindar?
I think it's pointless to put them asleep if we can't remove the ability for them to be woken up again. Otherwise, we're just passing the buck down. So more people can be killed in the future.
Okay, so your vote is to kill them or put them to sleep to be killed once the world is at a better place in our lifetime?
I think if we put them to sleep, then we have to figure out a way to make it so that the scales can never be gotten again. Like, throw them outside of our realm or into space, somewhere where they can never again be got, because Bahamut is never going to stop. He's always going to have people trying to get the scales back and bring the dragons back.
Okay. So, you're in favor of a permanent solution, whether it's put them to sleep, or the one we discussed a few minutes ago, or last session, depending on how you look at it, of having them put to sleep, have the world actually get ready for a fight, and then fight.
I think whatever we should do, we should make it permanent. Yes, we should be the ones to deal with this. We shouldn't just pass it on, hoping somebody else will have a better chance.
I would agree with that. Raiken.
Yes, you already know my answer. I took an oath at the beginning of this to slay the green dragon, not put it to sleep.
Okay.
And now I
Technically,
believe
we can do both.
now I believe in basically expanding that oath into killing all of them.
And I ask, what is it you plan to do? You've never been much of one for following the majority of votes, unless it goes your way.
I'm
So are you
slaying
with
that
us?
green dragon one way or the other.
Alright, you want to slay it. That could happen. And when it comes back up, then can it be put to rest, as far as you're concerned?
No, I want it gone. Permanently.
Here's the thing, if we put it to sleep and then throw the scale someplace where no one could ever get it, then that's the same thing as killing it.
Not exactly. That's just a technicality.
I mean, it's perhaps even better as if we kill them, then we have to kill them all, and then we have to kill Tiamat. It's a tall order. But if we put them to sleep and make it so that nobody can ever get their scales, then they can never wreak havoc again. If we only kill Bala, then she's just going to come back and continue to wreak havoc, as we learned.
This is Bahamut we're talking about. Do you really think that we can hide the scales forever from him?
Well, as we know, he can only work through people. If we get it to where people can never get them, like, tell you what, I doubt anybody's ever going to be able to get it if we manage to get it into space. Or if we manage to transfer them to a different world entirely, like to Nariel's realm.
Boy. That's a
You
terrible
have-
idea I just had.
you are quite positive in something that I have little doubt that would stop him still. I don't care if he's going through people, this is a god we're talking about.
Yes,
He'll find
so
a way.
Tiamat. Tiamat is also a god.
Yes, but
If she's killed, like, won't that be like detrimental?
we're talking
We have
about
no
Tiamat in killing a god rather than trying to keep something away from a god.
Honestly, this whole thing has taught me that Bahamut is not a benevolent god. He's just a guy who wants to kill his sister and is willing to do whatever it takes to do it. And
Yeah,
honestly,
that's what I
we'll be
learned as
better
well.
off if we could just, like, demolish his religion. I mean, he got most of his most devout followers killed already. If we could expose him for that he's not a benevolent god, that he's just willing to slaughter all of humanity, all of creation in order to kill his sister, then maybe we could diminish his influence enough that he couldn't do it.
I doubt that.
Well, but
Because while I disagree with his methods. You'd be hard-pressed to find the majority of people not in favor of his goal.
You know, it has meant sacrificing numerous lives, several cities full of people. I imagine most people aren't so obsessed with Bahamut that they would accept his willingness to sacrifice thousands upon thousands of lives to achieve this goal that we don't even know if it will have a beneficial effect.
Correct. I don't think most will, but enough might.
But I mean, also if we go the route of stopping, putting them to sleep, then we're most likely going to have to fight and kill Raiken's brother and his entire army.
That will be easier than killing the god.
That also depends on how the things get hidden. If there's no way for them to get to them, then I imagine at least some portion of the army would leave, as they can't actually accomplish their goal. There would certainly be fanatics, and Tatsuya might be among them. I will, however, say I agree with the point that I think that no matter how much we hide these, we would be very hard-pressed to come up with a permanent solution. Whether it's 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, we cannot be certain that they would not be found.
I think we should try to kill the dragon. What's the point of putting this on somebody else? They've already been risen. Most of them have already been risen, and tens of thousands of lives have already been sacrificed.
I agree, it shouldn't be put on someone else.
Because look at it this way. Yes, there will probably be many casualties, even more than what has already happened. However, we can put a stop to it, at least here, and there could be a chance that a worse evil takes over somehow for Tiamat, or there could be not. So we're playing 50-50 chance rather than putting them to sleep again, so that down the line they get risen again, more destruction and more killing, and then maybe they get put to sleep again, then more. It just keeps happening in a cycle over and over.
I question your math saying that it's a 50-50 chance. We know nothing about what happens. Or we know not enough about what happens when a god dies to make any assertions about it.
I'm saying that we have the chance of it could be worse, it could be better. We don't know, but we have a clear understanding that they've risen, they got put to sleep, and they've gotten risen again. So there's a very highly likely chance that, again, they're going to get risen if we put them to sleep.
So with 100% confidence right now, you think you can kill a god? In a mortal
I
form.
didn't get this far without having my confidence.
I'm saying if we, like you said, we can't hide them from Bahamut. No matter what, this is going to happen. Whether we know the consequences of deicide or not, it's going to happen sometime. He's not going to stop until she's dead.
We cannot hide them indefinitely. To that, I agree.
But we're not.
I would like to propose is that we put them to sleep. For now, we prepare to fight them with a plan, with reinforcements, with the battlefield on our side, and most importantly, having cleared out anyone and anything that we can find trying to pose itself to be in the position to take Tiamat's place, like a certain creature we are aware of.
And that's also one of the things we've been discussing this whole time, is like that is not that we're not saying to put them asleep permanently. One of our options was with just what Cyrus just said, and that's what we're discussing. Or we're making sure everyone's okay with that idea.
So how about this? Propose a timetable. 1 year. Put them to sleep. We have 1 year to prepare. To try and deal with the creature I'd rather not name due to its origins. Along with anyone else we can find. Gather any followers and strength we can. And then try this in earnest. And in the meantime, I don't believe we can keep the scales hidden forever. I believe we can manage 1 year.
Well, here's the thing. In order to put them to sleep, we're going to have to fight and defeat them anyway.
Yeah,
Yes.
Not just,
one at a time instead of killing
And-
all 5 of them at once.
but in order to kill all 5 of them and make Tiamat spawn so that we can kill her, we have to kill all 5 of them in short succession. And since the only way to bring them back after they've been put to slumber is to bring them back to where they were slain, unless we manage to bring them all back to the same spot and slay them in the same spot, including then Resing Widemir and Rising, and unless we lure them to where Widemir is and do it there.
From my Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong. When they're reawakened from the scales, where they were put to sleep originally, correct?
That's what you've been told.
So, since 4 of them are in the same spot, and we're going to have to either kill them or put them to sleep in that same spot, generally, regardless, we know that 4 of them will be there if we go to wake them up. And the 5th is going to be a problem, regardless of if we choose to try and kill it now or later.
But here's the thing: there are already 4 there. How much more is Widemir going to be? Are we thinking we're capable of killing the 4 of them, but not the 5 of them?
Well, we could also...
The other thing is...
separate
short
them.
succession, according to Tatsuya, I believe was a few days. We could still fight them one at a time, so long as they are awakened next to each other. Just back to back, as opposed to with days in between.
It seems unlikely we would be able to fight one with the others in close proximity without them joining into the fight.
They'd still be asleep. That's the point.
I think he's saying the first time.
Yeah, in order to put them to sleep, we have to fight them all.
Correct. Which
How are we
is
gonna fight them one at a
unadvantageous
time
to
if they're all
us.
together?
If we can survive it the first time... Well, let me put it to you this way. Do you want to have a better chance of beating Tiamat? Because if we take them all at once, we might win. We might not. But even if we win, our chances of winning the next battle, which will be unknown how quickly that occurs, but my guess would be within a few minutes, I doubt would fare very well with the amount of exhaustion we'd be through just from the first fight.
But we have no way of knowing that. Like he said, we don't know if Tiamat will spawn right where we killed them or if she'll spawn on the other side of the planet.
Well, A, we can look into that, and B, why take the chance?
Well,
if we can be more prepared.
I'm just
I
saying,
have
in
another
order
question.
to defeat all the dragons, we're going to have to gather a large force to fight them. Just the 4 of them, and do it. Why not gather the large force and do it now instead of gathering a large force, having a bunch of people die in a fight to put them to sleep, and then a year later trying to do it again?
Because I don't think we need a large force to beat those 4. To put
You
them
think
to
we
sleep.
can beat 4 ancient dragons, just the 7 of us?
Not just the 7 of us. Tatsuya's already will be there.
Tatsuya's whole goal was to gather
He's
all of the
trying to
people.
revive the 5th one.
Yes, he's trying to revive the 5th one and then unite all of the world to go fight them. That was his whole goal.
Yes, I'm aware.
Alright, so, Raiken, you said you had a question.
Yes. Do we... maybe I blanked on this. Do we know how long it takes to essentially rescale them, put each one to sleep?
You do not know because you've never done it and no one has told you.
So, because since we don't know that, in a battle against just 4 of the dragons, and we have Yukikaze basically wide open trying to put at least one to sleep, that is probably going to be troublesome.
Well,
He
wait.
doesn't need to be the one that puts them to sleep.
I mean, do
I
we even
thought
know?
The ritual is
Shagrazir-
involved, but not.
I thought Shagrazir was the one that put them to sleep, so
Hang on.
he have the power to put them to sleep?
I just want to... You've asked your question. Yuki, you tried to say something earlier, but weren't able to, so please.
Oh no! Well, no. This is sometimes the way this discussion happens.
I know, but, like, you know, everybody deserves a voice in these discussions. So.
No, it's my. I need to chime in during it, like as part of it.
All right.
If everyone wants to talk over someone in a discussion, that's their choice.
Well, no, it's that is difficult to deal with over voice chat, as opposed to.
It happens in real life too. I get it done to me a lot in real life.
But if we were all at the same table, it would be easier to make it known you want to say something. In any event, I believe you do have something to say, though.
Well, what I was gonna say was, if you really want to get down to everything, and you want to fight the god, you know, if we try to seal them and we fail to seal them, we have no hope of fighting and defeating Tiamat. And if we die in this process of sealing them, you'll get your wish that Tatsu will bring them all back, and the world will have to face them and figure something out. So, you know, we could attempt to seal them, get them sealed, and know we could succeed in defeating the 5, and then have hopes of fighting Tiamat. It's kind of almost like a test of strength in a little bit of a sense.
You can make sure that you're up to the challenge before, you know, going in for it. The other thing that you might, this is up to you, but you know the answer to the question that was just posed.
How long it takes to seal them?
Yes.
Yeah, then I will state that if I can.
Yes, you may.
I forgot how long it is, Tristan.
It's a couple hours.
Okay. Takes a couple hours to do the ritual and for the sealing to happen.
That's not viable
That's a
while
long
there are
time.
other dragons around. That must be why he did it one at a time all over the world.
In your visions, have you seen ones sealed before?
No.
Then I wonder how they did it previously. If it was... Because they couldn't have done it while it was actively attacking them. Nothing's going to survive a dragon for hours on end.
I mean, we know where they were, and we know time frames that we can narrow down a bit more. If anyone wants to travel, we could find out.
A field trip to Arcosia?
And well, there's also the senses if we could try to find some key aspect to bait them somehow one by one, and they're also arrogant creatures. It could be that we could maybe get one of them to challenge them and have get them to be convinced that they can kill us as in a party versus one of them situation, and then after that one's defeated, bait another one in the vicinity of that one and defeat that one there.
They're arrogant, not dumb.
So, yeah, I understand that.
There's a chance it might work on the first one, but I highly doubt it would work on any after that.
Yeah.
And they're already grouped up.
Not to mention, they remember what happened the first time.
Yes. And if they know the armor's weakness, they have no incentive to fight us one at a time. As the entire point would be to fight us all. To fight us all at the same time.
I mean, the one we fought seemed to still be scared of the armor. Maybe that
Alone.
means they don't know the
They were
secret.
alone.
Yeah. Sharon was by herself.
There's also, if we do manage to kill them and fight Tiamat, that would be a danger to the armor, because Tiamat's capable of all 5 elements on her own.
Yeah, so there's another good aspect of, we can't count on all of my power in the Tiamat fight. Then,
Or even in the dragon fight.
well, in the dragon fight, if we're fighting appropriately, probably could dodge some of the breaths, unless they're like gung ho focused on me.
If they know your weakness, they will be.
Yeah. And there's also the aspect of, Nalia is working on being able to make magic equipment, and if we're able to replicate making magic equipment, we could arm a large force with more power.
We don't have the resources for that. If that is what we would want to do, then we need to acquire a much larger amount of residuum and leave it with her.
And we would need
Yeah.
a lot more time to do that, which, if we can seal them and plan to come back to them, that would be possible.
Yeah, and that's
We're
the
doing that
only
now.
reason I would see that being viable, if we have a way to dramatically increase our power in that year. I am planning to give my musket to my sister and have the Spartan engineers hopefully be able to reverse engineer it and arm the Spartan army with muskets.
If we could do that, that would help. If I could make the last heights of my power, that would help as well, and be able to deal with the creature that's been trying to make its way to godhood without leaving the dragons on the loose while that happens. Would also
Other
be
character.
different.
Yes.
Question.
Oh,
Vendar's musket came from Garland, right?
yes.
Could I tell that it was gnomish, or like did it
I
look
mean, we all
gnomish?
know
Oh,
gnomish.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you've never seen its like, but the craftsmanship, the design, the materials,
General aesthetic, like.
yeah, aesthetically, it's
Okay,
very
like
rock
this-
gnome, very rock gnome.
Yeah. So when Vendar mentioned the thing about engineers, Jebel will turn to him and go, you could just ask a gnome, probably. I mean, that was made by gnomes. Some of those guys, I think, would be pretty good at figuring out how that works.
I mean, that's possible. We might have some gnomes in the engineers here, but I don't exactly know a lot of gnome communities, and if they were capable of making this still, then I imagine it wouldn't be so, that they would be around. But I'm also confident in the Spartan engineer's ability to reverse engineer it.
Are forest gnomes and rock gnomes like separate, like
Community.
how drow, like
Drow versus elves?
drow versus like wood elves and wood elves versus high elves are like separate
They walk different
things.
paths. Like, that's kind of the thing. It's not that they're enemies or hate each other or anything.
I don't mean like that. I mean
Three
in
separate species.
They're
Well,
separate
not-
subspecies. It's a subrace. So like forest.
But I mean
gnome-
like that is in like are forest gnomes and rock gnomes the same, but just different cultures. Is it just culturally different?
Yeah, it would be a cultural difference.
So you could have a forest gnome who is related to a rock gnome. Like as in
You would not. It would not be beyond reason that there could be blood ties in gnomish families that give you relative relation to both forest and rock gnomes.
I mean, well, I was wondering, like, would the child of a forest gnome always be a forest gnome? Like, is it?
I'd need to
like,
look a little further into that. Give me a moment. They call them sub-races. I don't know if that means there's supposed to be, like, a genetic difference or predisposition.
I think that at least, like, in the more, like, in the newer stuff of D&D, it's probably leaning to purely cultural.
Probably?
So,
instead of
I
having
think before, it was probably considered a genetic thing.
So that one would have more affinity toward earth and one would have more affinity toward forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just wondering, like it kind of makes sense in some races, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing directly under the rock gnome that it was tied to any, like, genetic predispositions. It's all culture. So yes.
I can only think of one race that might bend that rule. It's not in our game, so.
So, short answer, Thomas, is yes, you could have a brother who is a rock gnome if he decided that he didn't like animals and decided to go join a community of rock gnomes instead.
Like my uncle is a rock gnome.
Yeah. That's reasonable. That's fine.
Like
You want to give him a name?
Leave it with me.
Some gnomish name.
Gnomes tend to have very long names too, because they tend to include all titles they ever gotten into the name.
Yeah.
That's what Jebble does.
If you have seen Jebble's name.
Kind of like in Game of Thrones with Daenerys, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains.
Yeah.
Yada 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 yada.
Breaker of Chains.
I would like to submit a name for Jebble's uncle.
Too late.
Aw, I was gonna go with Rock, fancy last name.
I already had a rock.
And a fancy last name.
Oh wait, stone.
He's never gotten a name replacement either. Silas fancy
No,
last name.
because it's perfect.
I always thought that was his last name.
Yeah, it doesn't need one. His
Sorry.
name, his last name is literally fancy last name.
Administrator Bjorn, fancy last name.
Of the Evangard fancy last names.
Yes. So yes, you can have a relative who's a rock gnome. That's not a problem.
Yeah, okay.
Easy enough. If you want to tell the party about this person, you have their attention, it seems. If you wanted to, it sounded like you wanted to suggest, like, I've got a rock gnome uncle. We could take it to.
Yeah, I'm actually my uncle's a rock gnome. I think he's still in the country.
Well, perhaps we could bring him to Everwatch and have him help. I'm sure the Esparo would be more than willing to pay him for the effort.
I imagine that would be appreciated.
Speaking of which, Raiken, your thunder gun would be a valuable asset if we could reproduce it as well. If you would mind parting with it. At least for a time.
We'll probably get it back.
It's kind of it's kind of too powerful for the majority of the population.
That's not to say we couldn't mount it on something. Or only have it be used by big old bruisers like you.
It is true that I haven't been using it quite as much. So it probably would be good to have it be used for something.
I don't know. I mean, you just shot it off like 2 days ago.
You do use it a lot.
Damn it, Tristan! Just because time doesn't pass at all in this game.
Not for you, it didn't appear to.
It was you were gone for like an hour, and it was like a week and a half, right?
You blasted some other dragonborn in the swamp.
Oh yeah.
That's like, God, that's like Inception with like just time passing differently for everyone.
Well, we don't go to the Feywild.
This is why we don't go to the Feywild.
I am-
the only reason why.
I may be willing to hand it over, but I don't want to see this used against against other countries.
I think giving it to the military of a particular country in no way guarantees that. So you should probably not give it to a military if that's what you're hoping.
Man, I'm
Unless you want to give it to everyone, in which case everyone will use it against everyone. That's been my MO when I've been handing out the spell bombs. It's just everyone has them.
Yeah, if everyone can kill everyone, that's even. That's fair.
Everyone is prepared then to deal with whatever everyone else is doing.
But I only have one of these. I can't just pass it out to all of them.
That's not entirely what the conversation was about, I don't think.
The idea was that they would reproduce it. Once they reproduce it, you could theoretically get several and pass them out.
If they did reproduce it, it would be pretty bitchin' if
You could
me
dual
and
wield them.
Yukikaze both shot them at the same time. Such bigger explosions.
It would be incredibly helpful to have an army armed with this when fighting the dragons. It's a lot more powerful than bows.
Yes, but back to me and Yukikaze making bigger explosions.
Yes, you could do that.
I'm sold.
Sam, out of character, was distracted. What happened?
they want to make bigger explosions.
Raiken is not even thinking about the consequences, other than the fact that if they reproduce it, you give one to Yukikaze and then they can both fire at the same time to create a giant explosion.
And then you intend to convince the Asparans to give the technology to the Bromdorans and the Thanandir, insert name of the Thanandanes, and the Shirkawans, and everyone.
We can work on that later.
That sounds like a thing that we should properly discuss. A lot of my giving away things have also involved giving the technology to the temples of Ione. So I would ask
we literally
that
only have one of each, so they would need to be able to be reproduced before we could hand out any more to anybody else.
Well, then I think that upon handing them to the army to learn how to reverse engineer, we should have assurances that we can trust that the technology will make its way to the Temple of Ione.
I think that's reasonable. Vendog, can you get us that?
Perhaps
that
you
promise?
can come with me and you can discuss it with my sister, as she would be a better at ensuring that than I could.
Given your phrasing of that, it sounds like you would be willing to hand them over without that guarantee, which is understandable. However, I don't think that we should.
I'm just saying, I'm handing the musket over either way. That's already a forgiven thing.
Like, didn't you already do it?
It's gonna happen. No, not yet. But I've told her that I'm going to. And I'm going to.
Then I would like to be there to try and make the case for the Temple of Ione.
So you are welcome to come with me.
I feel like we may have gotten somewhat off topic.
That's all.
Off topic, but still important.
But also thinking if we're able to, if they're able to reverse engineer these, then that would also give them the knowledge of how these were made in the first place, and they can even expand the arsenal, make even more powerful weaponry that we could use to fight the dragons.
Leah had
or
been saying
spells.
something that we talked over.
But me? I just said that's always. We always go off topic.
Oh, okay.
Raised attention. So, killing the dragon.
I think we should not.
I still agree with Leah. I mean,
I think it's pointless to put them to sleep when it's just going to happen eventually.
I think that we're still better off doing our best to hide these things so that it will be very unlikely for it to happen again, while at the same time giving the world the necessary knowledge so that should it happen, they can attempt to deal with things.
Can you sequester an object?
Yes. That is one of my initial thought for hiding things was to construct each of them a very nice, very detailed demiplane with very varied objects inside of them, to keep them company, and involving information that might be able to be used to help find them later, and sequestering that information. I feel like that has a very good chance of making it very difficult for them to find.
I need to open the demiplane, which contains my list of things that's in the demiplane with my scale. There it is.
And could we also sequester the scale itself?
I don't know if something could be sequestered within a demiplane. Hold on. I guess that's an Arcana check because I didn't take the spell.
Nice.
Damn.
I have no confidence that you can possibly succeed at this.
That is a 24. Can I understand how sequester works?
You understand how sequester works.
Can I understand what sequester is?
You may roll Arcana. I don't think... Is it a cleric spell? A divine spell?
No, it is only a wizard spell.
Okay, yeah, so you may roll Arcana.
I see no reason in the spell's description why it could not be sequestered inside of a demiplane.
Can you specify what undoes it, or make it nothing?
There must be a condition that is theoretically achievable in order to cast the spell. It can be something... it could be upon Tiamat's death, which would make it very difficult for that to happen without the scales. And so, in order to properly deal with that, one would have to find the sequestered object and figure out how to undo the spell itself without triggering the condition, which would be possible. It would just be very difficult.
I have a question.
Yes. Thomas.
Jebel in character asking. I have a question.
Jebel.
What are you talking about?
There is a spell called Sequester, which, as the name implies, takes a creature or an object, which is the case that we're most interested in here, and magically hides it. It makes it invisible. It makes it. It prevents it from being detected by spells of all sorts. And it
hides it from scrying.
Yes. And then when you cast it, you set a condition for the spell to end on it. For example, if Tiamat dies, the spell would end. In 20,000 years, the spell will end. If somebody sneezes while facing north-northwest at 2 p.m. on a Sunday
That also
on a
happens
brisk
to be a
spring
leap
afternoon,
year.
it must be theoretically possible.
On an undiscovered continent that does not know
That is
the
not
sequester.
that is impossible, because it must be something that could theoretically, it must be able to be seen or occur nearby, within a mile of the object that is sequestered. So I suppose if Tiamat should die, might not work. It depends on how metaphysically close, I suppose, a demiplane in the astral sea is to a god's demise. So we could pick something else. But if it was cast on an object within a demiplane, it would have to be something that could be noticed from the demiplane, which means they would need to be in the demiplane. Whatever this event happened, it would need to be able to occur within a demiplane.
Fireman, just a quick question: is the spell have to be for the creature has to be willing, and is it easily resisted?
In order to cast it on a creature, the creature must be willing.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Can't sequester an unwilling creature.
You could charm them.
That's mean.
I do think I currently possess Dominate Monster.
You're asking out of character. You're asking Luramendus to be very evil right now in all of his planning.
Suggesting we try to sequester one of the dragons?
Yeah, and then when one dies, have the spell or die or seal whatever we're doing, and then the sequester would end for that dragon, and then have them pop up one after another instead of all at once.
How long does Sequester take to cast?
Roughly 6 seconds.
Okay.
Does it last
honestly-
indefinitely unless you have the thing to end it?
Yes.
And it
Oh.
can't be dispelled?
Duration says until dispelled. So I think it can be. It's just very difficult because the thing is invisible and hidden from all divination magic.
So, is it just invisible? Like, if you cast it on that table over there, it would just be an invisible table?
Yes.
Or you could still put stuff on it?
Yes. So, yeah, you use Fabricate to dig a very large hole, put something in the hole, and then bury it. Oh, wait. And then it gets dispelled after it's been in the very large hole, covered by a very large amount of earth, awakens from its suspended animation, and dies. Because you have buried it alive.
Yeah.
Assuming they can't tunnel.
I suppose that's another way to kill something via sequester. But again, because it requires a willing target, you would need to summon them first, so that they would be willing to be affected by your spell.
It does seem unlikely that we would be able to charm the ancient dragons.
It would be difficult.
But I do possess the spell required to do so.
I would imagine.
Go ahead.
I mean, out of character, they have legendary actions that literally say it's like, nah, I'm not. I succeed instead.
Yeah, you just eat through those first.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very difficult, and then you'd have to do it for every single one.
Yeah.
And then even then, they'd have to fail. Which I imagine is going to be hard for them to fail.
But if we have an army with enough spellcasters, you can eat through their resistances that way and all that fun stuff.
Kind of dragon would have high charisma.
Most of them.
Not the whites.
Good to know.
I have no idea if the whites have poor charisma. It would just be fun. I think they just have poor int. Anywho, so you're talking about sequestering the dragons, though. I don't understand why casting sequester on them is any more beneficial than sealing them.
It's not.
Oh,
I mean, both.
I wasn't sure if they could interact with us if they were sequestered. If they couldn't, it was just a way to, even though they're close, keep the fight a one-on-one.
No, they cannot do any. They are in suspended animation when they're sequestered. They are unaware of things. They cannot interact with things.
Are
But
they
that
actually in
was the-
suspended animation, or do they continue aging?
They are in suspended animation. Time does not flow for them.
Okay.
But
Let's
Larry Mendes,
drag
that was the thought, was just to keep the fights one-on-one, and then once one was defeated, as you cast a spell on each dragon, you make the condition the previous one is dealt
Okay.
with.
Yeah, it is a fight to be able to cast sequester on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It is
what I
not
was-
the whole fight necessarily, but it is not going to be.
It's not going to
It's
work.
It's not
like
useful for that purpose.
Yes, yeah, that was why I asked, but now I know, so we're good.
There's also the thing that dragons are very large and very powerful magic casters. But it wouldn't be that hard for fighting them all at once for them to see that one had been sequestered and simply dispel it.
I mean, you polymorph them first, and then sequester the polymorphed thing. But I don't know if we should use sequestering as a method of fighting them. I think that a combination of sequester and demiplane will give us a very, very good chance to hide scales away for a very, very long time.
I mean, if we did try to hide them away, I think we should do everything in our power to try to make sure they can't come back. Like, do the sequester thing and then completely try to eradicate all knowledge of it, destroy the pendant so that they can't use that to track it.
I am uncomfortable with eradicating all knowledge of anything. I think that we can do what we can to make these difficult to find, but I think that it is important that we are all still aware of the world is still aware of their existence, and I think that everyone should be aware of how it can be used.
We should. I'm saying we should try to get rid of the knowledge of where it is hidden and how it is hidden.
I think that if our goal is to hide these things, then it should not be able to easily be discovered how we hid them. I think that they are hidden is important for people to know, or important to be recorded.
Am I the only person who knows how to cast polymorph?
Once upon a time, there were scrolls.
I still have one or two.
Yeah, but I mean, like, polymorph is a druid spell.
I used to be.
Everyone gets that spell. I do not have it in my spell book, but I think every class capable of casting
Bard, druid, sorcerer, wizard. And anybody with the trickery domain. So, clerics with the trickery domain.
So at the moment,
And a particular invocation for warlock.
Yeah, standard
there's-
warlocks
yeah.
don't get it, but perhaps you should identify what all of this discussion is moving you toward.
sorcerer. How do sorcerer spells work? Do they just know all their spells, or do they?
They know the spells they pick to know at level ups. They eventually know 15.
so
I
few.
believe is what it tops out at.
Okay,
Yes.
so druids know all their spells, but they just choose them each day.
Yes.
So at the moment, I am the only person here that actually knows polymorph.
Yes.
We could let Sam transcribe it from a scroll.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean that if
Oh, yeah.
questions regarding how polymorph works come up, I can answer them because I know the spell.
Yes. I think generally we've done, if you know the spell, you know the spell. Like, you know all the content of the spell page. If it's above your level, it's a roll. And for the people who know certain spells, if it's not a spell that is known to you, it would be a roll. It would just likely be an easier roll than something that would be above your level.
Yeah.
Is usually how we've done. So if any questions about the function of polymorph come up, you can note those answers. You've cast the spell a bunch of times too, so.
Yep, I have.
So, shall we? Are we in a position where we think that we should come to a decision on the course of action that we want to take?
I'll kind of look to the others.
Clemens looks around the group when he says that.
I guess one important question for that is, will people here accept a majority vote?
I sure hope they will.
I'm not going to fight against the group. If we decide to seal them, I'll do it.
I won't either. If we decide to go after them right away, then I'll be with the group on it also. But my decision is to seal them first.
Raiken?
Be going against my oath if I wasn't adamant on slaying.
That can certainly be your vote. But if you are outvoted, will you work against us or will you work with us?
If I work with you and I'm outvoted, then that's going against my oath.
No, not necessarily, because your oath is to kill them. You can seal them today and kill them tomorrow. Just because you haven't taken the time to kill them this time doesn't mean you can't do it in the future.
And you also need to remember that that is sworn off to Sintaramal as well. And what if Sintaramal's wishes is to seal them? Then the oath is technically both.
My oath to Cord overrules anything.
That's probably not a great way to look at that.
If we
So if
decide to
the-
steal them, then I need an agreement that we're not sequestering and we are going to kill them.
Is that something that you could live with, Leah Lermendis?
I do not like the idea of us ever trying to kill them. I don't like the idea of a god being killed. It sounds like a bad idea. Even if the god is
Saying-
bad.
Gods have been killed before, and this is going to happen eventually. Bahamut won't let it rest. One way or another, one of them's going to win. Either Bahamut or Tiamat is going to die. Question is, do we learn what happens by killing them now, or do we let some future generation learn whenever happens?
I think if we had a much more full understanding of the consequences, then I could see being in a situation where killing them was the better option. in the
Any
future.
suggestion of how to get that information? Because it seems to me like
Years
the
of
way we
study and
years of study of what?
divination and
It seems like the only
communes.
way to learn that would be to see what happens when it happens.
I mean, we have ways of asking gods for information. We have ways of gaining information from other entities magically. We can figure things out. Questions of that magnitude will take years to figure out what's going to happen, though.
So then, Raiken, would you agree to, if you're outvoted, because you won't necessarily be, would you agree to having them sealed for 1 year in which we gather information to see if there is a better solution?
What happens if we don't gather enough information in that year? What if we haven't learned what happens when a god dies by the end of the year?
Then, assuming we have support, we go through with it.
Yeah, and we also, along with gathering information, we build forces.
If we seal them and a year has passed and nothing has changed, I will awaken them myself and I will fight them. Whether anybody else does or not, I don't care. And if we find out sooner and we have the forces sooner, we do not wait a year.
I think that's a bad idea.
Don't like it, but
I think if you have a year to prepare, take the year to prepare. Don't rush it.
I'm willing to accept it as a compromise, at least for now.
Armindus?
I would agree with Jebel that I think that we should want to take the full year. Whether or not we get the answer early, the time in resources that we can obtain and aid that we can muster will make everything much easier.
Especially if we have a set date where it's like, this is when this is going to happen, and we can let everybody know and let everybody prepare for that time.
And Raiken? The year is a somewhat short time span in the grand scheme of things. Will you accept that?
I told you. After a year, no matter what, they're getting released.
And it sounds like we're ready to take a vote.
So, so I've also been kind of quiet because I've been trying to think of, trying to remember the research I did. And when I was at the library at Lara Mendes's school, I'm trying. Lara Mendes, what's the name of your place again?
At the university at Celsirakis?
Yes, it's Ulcerax, thank you. So when I was there, I was trying to find out information, and I did remember just now that I read up about a death god named Nerul, and he was killed and usurped by the Raven Queen. And in result, the way the souls are handled when they die changed dramatically. The Shedder Kai were created. The followers of Nerul were destroyed utterly. And that's something that happened when the previous Death God role was usurped.
I do certainly think that looking into what happened with the Raven Queen's ascension is a reasonable first avenue of exploration into figuring out what could happen.
They couldn't hurt.
My concern is the differences between that situation where one powerful entity usurped another and became a god is different than this one, possibly. And so things might be things will be different.
Oh, are we ready to move forward on this then? Is that the plan? Put him to sleep for a year and then come back with our gathered forces to kill him?
I think that was still a vote.
Yes. If you don't mind, I will list off names just to have it be orderly. Leah?
I vote for putting him to sleep.
Hikaze?
You know my vote.
I'd like it
Yes,
stated
for the
regardless.
record.
Seal them, address them as soon as we get our forces.
There, Mindus.
Seal them, and I will respect the compromise that we've made for the time to gain knowledge and make a more informed decision and deal with them more fully later.
Jebel.
Seal.
Raiken.
Steal and then kill.
Vendar.
I vote for sealing them temporarily and killing them in a year.
Then we are in agreement, because that was my vote as well. Now, we plan to get to that part.
If we do plan on sealing them, then we should probably try to stop Tatsuya from waking Widowmere.
Raiken, you know your brother. Do you think he would be willing to wait if he knew this was our plan?
You could also use the prospect of that he can use the fuel saying that the people of the world have seen the dragons, they're coming again, and that we need to prepare, and just kind of inform him our ideas to that it's only a temporary holdout. Because he wants to rally the world, but the world's seen the dragons, and if we inform the world that they're coming back within a year, then that might motivate them.
There's a good possibility that he won't agree to the terms. I think the best way to possibly try to get him to agree to the terms is to make sure that we get the last scale in our possession so that we have it ready. Because if he doesn't have that, if he doesn't have that guarantee, then he will probably continue his plan of onslaughting until he gets that scale.
It would mean we would need to quickly return to the swamp and defeat Tresnor to obtain the scale.
Well,
that's how fast Tatsuya can be moving at this point.
we also do know that Tresnor's first wish was to kill all the dragons to begin with. And it was the compromise with Shergazir to what they came with now.
I thought Tresnor was the one who convinced Shagrazir to steal them.
Did I get that wrong, Tristan?
I was arbitrating something. Repeat it for me.
Did I get it switched? Was it Tresnor that wanted the them sealed, or was he the one who wanted them killed? And Chagrazir wanted them sealed.
They both wanted them sealed.
Oh, I thought it was a compromise for what they did.
No, the only thing that Tresnor needed to convince Chagrazir of was to create the Platinum Sentinels to hide the scales after it had been done.
Oh, okay. I got it mixed up.
That was what was Tresnor's idea, which was carried out in Chagrazir's name.
Okay.
Yeah, Fresnor most certainly will not agree with our plan, and we'll have to deal with him. And if we want to get the scale before Tasha does, then we should probably do that fast, and we should probably not let him know that we're coming.
Alright. So you have voted 4-3 in favor of sleeping the dragons. You know that the White Dragon is currently still sealed. You know that Tatsuya is going to try and unseal it. What is your next topic of discussion?
It might be worth taking some time now to talk about exactly what happened in the Feywild. Raiken.
Sure, whatever you want. What do you want to know?
I would like to know everything that happened, and as close to exact wording of any interactions you had with Faye as you can give me.
Well, I got transported to Autumn's Elegy.
Can you... what was the conversation like that caused that event to transpire, other than you telling us that you would return at some indeterminate time in some indeterminate place?
Didn't Zentharmel kind of communicate with me, Tristan, before I got teleported?
Yep. If you're talking about at the moment of, do you want me to repeat what he said to you?
Yes.
You want me to repeat what he said to you publicly?
I mean, if you want to write it to me, you can write it to me.
Sure.
That way Raiken can decide how verbatim he actually remembers the things.
That is why I differentiate.
Is out him verbatim.
Because, yeah. We'll see how much of this is, because Alex does not quite
has
remember
been much longer
what has
for
happened.
Alex.
Yeah, I mean,
much,
for
much
Raiken,
longer
it was
for
like
Alex.
3 hours, or I guess like a day and a couple hours, but yeah, for Alex, it's been months.
And I haven't gotten to go back and watch the videos yet.
I haven't watched the video recently either, but I know that last sentence is correct.
Okay. Zentharmel contacted me. That's when the little burning fires kind of surrounded me. And he said that he needed his knight of his court. And based on my oath, that I will be going to him until he is needed, or until I'm no longer needed.
Would you mind sharing with me what that oath to him was? Again, exact wording if you can remember.
The oath was to Tristan. If just to correct me on this, the oath was to help him, but like especially help keep Leah safe.
I have given you wording.
Okay. Okay, yes. The shared goal of protecting Leah.
Your oath to him was the shared goal of protecting Leah?
Yes.
Verbatim?
Yes.
Just... Was it? Just that?
Yes.
Before, after, what then?
What more do you want?
Like, Mendes makes a face. We are going to have a very long discussion, you and I, about dealing with the Fae.
I'm a
Okay.
simple man.
And they are not. Okay, so that is your oath to him, and that was what he had said to you to accept the transportation. So once you were there, who did you talk to, and what did you say to them?
Well, first I talked to Zintharamel, and he told me there was going to be a gathering of some other Fae that he was that he is hoping to possibly make allies with, but he needed help in protecting Autumn's elegy from other creatures while he made preparation.
Hags.
Yes. So, before the gathering, I fought them.
Armendus nods. All right. Once the gathering began, after you had fought the hags, which are nasty creatures, who did you talk to, and what did you say?
What would you say, before or after?
Were there people other than Zintharamil that you talked to, or did you say other things to Zintharamil before the fight that we should talk about? Because if not, we can move after the fight. Unless there were Fae that you talked to during the fight that you did not kill. And actually, if you talked to them at all during the fight, I would like to know what you said.
I guess Raiken will also make it a point before when he told about the goal of protecting Leah. It's also he also promised to not get himself killed while Leah still loved him.
That promise.
And the cost of that promise if it wasn't kept?
I don't know. I'd be dead at that point.
You should buy that
Hold
promise.
on,
Doesn't
man.
You
I
hope.
might know.
much
I
sense,
might
does it?
know.
Whoa.
We'll see here in a second.
Hold on, Leah's saying something, and I want to know what it was.
I just said that promise doesn't really make much sense. Like, if you break that promise, then you're dead. That's it.
Yeah, but we can bring people back from the dead. So if he breaks that promise
Not
by
that
dying
one.
and we bring him back,
No, not that one.
what?
His armor prevents resurrection.
Not a useful. Why the fuck does your armor prevent resurrection?
Because
My armor prevents resurrection only if I use climax on it.
it's probably because Cord's all about battle and epic deaths and being a
Well, if he can be
champion.
res, then he can have multiple epic deaths.
Yeah, but it makes the previous one mute if you just keep coming back.
Not really.
To be fair, I have to use the I can still use climax song, just not the full effect.
So essentially, your promise was don't use that. Don't kill yourself to the point where you can't come back by using that.
Basically, yes.
Oh, well, that promise I like.
Well, and of course, I also, I mean, I technically, if I die and I'm not actually brought back by you guys, technically that still breaks it.
Which
So
will have interesting
also up on
implications
you.
for your soul. If you were intending to go to meet Cord in the afterlife, I am sure.
I guess if that happens, just make sure Leah dies first.
That is a dark thing to say.
Again, I can't do that.
I mean, if we're all gonna die.
That breaks the oath. The first part of it was protecting her.
So what I'm hearing is you're screwed.
So yeah, you should be aware that it is possible that that promise will have implications for your soul. Don't make promises to powerful Fae. Also, don't make promises to weak Fae. They're in service to powerful Fae. Okay. Did anything else of note happen before the fight?
Tristan, if I say no, yes. Okay. No, there was nothing before the fight.
Okay.
After that.
Did you talk to anyone during the fight?
I mean, I bantered with a hag.
Did you imply any promises or anything of the sort in your banter?
Not that I know of, other than
That means yes.
Kicking its ass and killing it.
Did you promise to kick its ass and kill it?
Did you succeed at
I mean, there's a very good chance I did.
But it sounds like he did kill it, which, you know... Did you kick its ass? Lara Mendes is like straight, like deadpan, like it's just... Did you like?
I need to know the answer to this weird question.
Yes. You need to like. Did you do it literally?
Did you actually kick it in the ass before you killed it?
Hold on.
The fact you're saying
Yeah,
is not a good sign.
No, because I'm trying to remember because we haven't gotten to that part. But yes, I am very, very sure I killed it.
I didn't ask if you had killed it. I asked if you kicked its ass.
I mean, I did some pretty good damage on it.
No, did you literally?
But did you literally kick it in the ass?
Okay, I didn't actually promise to kick its ass. Okay, I just promised to kill it.
Okay, those are different promises. And again, I would like your exact wording on anything that you tell me, as much as you can. Okay. Was that
really
all the
ruining
discussion
the
that had during the fight? If you would like to tell the story dramatically first, then we can jump back and do the literal blow-by-blow afterwards.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So after the fight, who did you talk to and what did you say?
Well, I talked to Zentharabel again. And he told me that I was supposed to mingle and talk with the other Fae and the other guests there. So I did so. It was quite nice, other than the eating of live animals and the orgies and all.
It is disconcerting the first through 6th times.
The origins were nice.
No, I said
Usually
other
didn't
than.
do it.
You participated?
He said
No,
it was very nice,
no.
other than
But they
the
were just
animal
happening.
hors d'oeuvres.
No matter
and-
where you turned.
Around.
Ew. Okay, I get that. That's gross.
Okay, you spoke with the guests.
Go ahead.
What did you say to them?
I spoke to 3 in particular. Well, I mean 3, apparently 3 big ones, and some of their own warlocks or knights.
Well, I would also like to know what you said to their warlocks and knights. What did you say to the 3 big ones?
Well, there was the mistress, which I believe you met. She was quite charming. Was really interested in my stories, so I told her a couple stories.
What did you tell her?
You know, I'm really blanking on what I told her.
You gave her your
Probably
stories,
just
didn't you? You don't remember them at all.
Gosh,
Like how
Yes.
Larry Mendez's
I feel-
family sold their information about that
Mm.
by literally
I?
selling memories.
That poison is too dangerous to keep.
So, go learn how to make it.
Please don't.
I will.
all I know is she really enjoyed them. If only I remembered what they were.
Do you have any understanding of where these gaps in your this gap? Did you tell her multiple stories?
Yes.
Okay. These gaps then, where they go up to and where they end, so that we might have an understanding of what it was that you gave to her.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know this is Cord's armor, but I don't know where the hell I got it. To my knowledge, I just had it this whole time. Like, yeah, I don't know. I blanked out. Maybe you guys found it and gave it to me.
But you don't remember Garland or the Lich or how
What's
he even
Garland?
got the Thunder Gun in the first place.
I like to imagine he just kind of hears like a wind whisper whenever we say the word Garland.
Is it
What's this
possible?
Garland and this Lich that you were talking about?
So
That's
the
wonderful.
the giving the stories is literally giving it and the memory. Then it sounds like
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful. Do you
Also,
know why
I'm
we
al-
went into the? Do you know that we went into the desert of Toralos?
I remember entering the desert. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember meeting with the Dragonborn tribes there?
Yes, I remember the Dragonborn tribe. Yuki
You remember
Kazu's tribe.
killing the purple worms.
Yes.
So you remember leaving the tribes to go deeper into the desert?
Yes. I remember going into the desert, meeting the tribes, leaving the tribes, and then
The storm?
and Nerevar.
Okay, so
And
all of our
then
time
at
in
some
Garland.
point things go blank. And then the next thing I remember is you babbling like an idiot.
Oh, so you do remember that? Good. I was just gonna ask.
But did not include that in the story, apparently.
Or
So
could
you remember us, me babbling in front of Nerevar? So leaving the tribes, and the next thing you know is we're talking with Nerevar, and he is curing me.
Like you said some secret to me, and then I told it to everyone, and you freaked out.
I turned to everyone. When did that happen?
When you were silly.
When your brain was mush.
I assume that that's when it happened. When during that time? Where were we?
Sand desert.
Yeah, we were in the hole that Garland's explosion created.
Out of character. Wasn't that in the Lich's room?
No, that was after everything exploded.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was when I was like wiggling away from you that first time.
No, because I had the armor at that point. Because then after that, you grabbed one of my old pieces of armor that I had taken off because I had the new armor, and like you chucked it.
I had taken your boot in the Lich's room, is when I had the boot, but I chucked it when we left. Anyway, I had thought it was in the Lich's room, but it also might not have been.
We want to go
thought it was
from
after
true
it.
history. The babbling happened in the Lich's room. It's a funny memory to have retained, but it doesn't fit.
So
Was it before
Because you first put the armor on and summoned it in the Lich's room when Vendar was off searching a southern room for books and stuff, and all he found were some books.
Well, but was it after I got the armor?
Yeah.
So then I should still remember it because I told up until when I got the armor. Basically, once I received the armor.
Then you would have some memory of Garland.
You would have the memory of running out of Garland.
Yeah, it was pretty much
Of it exploding.
like that was all the
thing.
same scene. Was like you got the armor, you did the summon, and then while you were showing off the armor to the party and figuring it out was when he said bada 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 to you, and then the place exploded. So
Oh no, we're getting very specific.
we are far
It's
more
true.
specific than I wanted to get.
That's fair. So you had said that there was another gap. Do you know where that is?
Then later, let's see. I know what the scene is, but I can't remember where I should say I should start this thing. Hold on.
Let me think about it for a second.
Would Raiken roll a history to even know?
You remember the giant ooze monster.
Which one?
Okay. So what I would remember going there then? Okay. So then I remember going to Volinar. And then the next thing I know is we were helping the whatchamacallit. What Oh my gosh. I'm blanking, Tristan.
Drow?
Yes. And that next thing I know, we're helping each other.
Oh, you forgot you're blending the Bahir. That was such an awesome scene.
I
That would
blended
make
Bahir?
sense that that's what he would share.
It does, yeah. It was one of his most epic moments.
Oh, tell me about it. Was it cool?
It was.
Not really, no.
I was unconscious.
You threw mush all over the place.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah,
Damn it, I wish I remembered that.
I gave you some purple worm poison, and then you just hit like a goddamn god. There wasn't anything left of it.
Larryman, just write that down. I want that in history books.
It's
Well, if you're
already
gonna write it
recorded.
down, get it right. He gave me the purple worm poison, which I applied.
Hey, my poison. You shut up.
I think
Both of
some
you
of the
can
stains
be-
are still in the wall.
Both of you can be part of it.
They're probably burnt into the wall.
All right, so that is what you gave to the mistress, you had said.
Apparently.
Any other stories? Any other gaps?
No. I had no more stories that I told her.
What did you say to the other two?
The other two, I'm gonna butcher the crap out of at least one of these names. Elena Cilia, I'm very confident I did not offer or take anything. It was just polite conversation.
All right.
And the same goes to Marquis Villainous.
Valurious.
Valurious. God damn it, the R and the I look like an N.
That's not my fault. I didn't write your notes.
I know. I know.
But I will point out how proud I am that you wrote notes.
Valurious, yes. And Elana Cilia was a baroness.
Elana Silva.
Silva. God damn it. You had to make these so difficult.
Yes, they're Fae.
A baroness, a marquis, and a mistress.
Yes. Marquis Valurious was also the same way.
Was
just
also the
polite
same way.
conversation.
Oh,
Just polite conversation.
All right. With their retainers, you had mentioned that you had a friend there that you wanted to say goodbye to. So I imagine
yes.
something substantial happened.
Yes, I specifically talked with 3 others. One of them I can't remember who they were with, Tristan. But one was named Halsey, and she was with Baroness Elena Silva. There was an Evander Elysian?
Evander
And-
Laretium.
Alessir.
Laretium.
And
It starts with an L.
what? I had an A.
Oh, Evander Laretium.
And then Alara Varelli.
Yes, Alara Varelli.
That's the one I don't know.
Evander Laretium, Alara Varelli, Baron Everus.
All right, Baron Everus.
That was Baron Everus Icar.
And we actually discussed the dragons.
What about them?
Well, I have some items that were given to me that I can use to call upon them when we need help.
call upon the Baron?
No, the warlock. Evandir gave me this ocarina, and so Raiken will hold out an ocarina. Um, to help us with sealing the dragons. Uh,
How's it
a
supposed to
lot.
help?
What?
How's it supposed to help?
Uh, he will come to our aid.
Ah,
So that's one more person to help add our numbers. Alara.
Why do I feel kind of betrayed?
What do you mean?
What, did you make a plans with other warlocks?
I'm making plans to help us, which in turn protects you.
I'm not the only warlock for you then. See how it is.
If you really want to think about it, I'm really using them.
I'm just teasing you, Dad.
You always get me. Anyways.
Not the hardest thing.
Alara gave me this pan flute, and he'll hold the pan flute in the other hand. To help with killing the dragons.
And this will summon their aid?
It will summon Alara. Yes. And Halsey gave me this locket, and like he'll kind of like reach up, like still holding like the ocarina and pan flute to kind of like pull out, and you'll see that he not only has the necklace that holds his armor, but he'll also have like a locket hanging from there. And she said that she would help with both sealing and or killing.
Would you mind if I study these objects tonight? I don't think that there's time now, otherwise I would ask if I could do it now.
Yes. I don't see why not. I guess Raiken would hand them over to him.
You can hold on to them for now. I'll just ask you for them again. I don't intend to. I'm not intending to take them from you. I'm asking if when we have time, I'm able to study them just to have a better understanding of how they're functioning.
Okay. Then that's fine. I'll put these away for now then. I'll put them back into some pouches. After that, then there was another fight. Which Halsey helped me with. The hag from before ran away and brought more things. So I had to fight her again.
This is the one that you killed.
This is the one I killed, and this is the I finally killed her this time.
Oh right, so she is dead.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you may or may not think is important for us to know about, on the understanding that anything you say to Faye can be important to them, and therefore to your future?
Pretty sure that I didn't offer or take anything else. I mean, Arnold did say he was pretty proud. So, I mean, I guess I took his respect.
I would be cautious of phrasing things that way. But thank you for humoring me there. I will reiterate to you, or I will tell you something that I had tried to make clear to the rest of the party as we were traveling into the Feywild in the first place. Anything you say or do there can be taken and twisted in ways that you're not expecting. It is best to be polite so you do not incur any so that you do not give offense, but it is also best to do as little as possible when interacting with them so that you do not make implications or anything of the like that you're not intending to make.
Well, I didn't know that before. You didn't tell me.
I did not know that you had made a deal with a Fae. Perhaps we should be more open with everyone about things like that which happen.
I was told to keep it a secret.
And you see where that got us.
I think everything turned out just fine.
And I'm sure the next time you're in a bar and want to regale someone with where you got the armor of Cord, how you became the champion, next time you go to tell some cleric at a temple how you acquired it, I'm sure you will continue to feel the same way.
That's why you need to write it down for me.
And I don't think handing a piece of paper to a cleric who asks how you got the armor is going to have the same effect. For your context, when you left, Tresnor had to kill someone in order to regain his power as a lich, in order to repower the wards around the White Scale. We have since learned that with the residuum that you possessed and the knowledge of its use that we could have given him, this could have been prevented.
Or it could have been just prevented by taking the scale.
That's not kind of seem like we're going to have to kill them all anyway.
He would not have killed the person if we had not been around and the scale was gone. Actually, well, he might have, in order to hunt us down and attempt to kill us.
Well,
we do not know.
And there's also the fact that we could have ended up fighting those people anyways to get the scale from them, so people would have died even if we went forcefully.
Probably a lot more people would have died.
They would have had at least another year. So that happened. We went to the university, traveled into the Feywild, and then found you. Out of character, I can't remember how much we actually told him about what happened.
You tell him about the crazy fight?
I don't. Out of character, I literally cannot remember what we told Raiken about what happened.
It wasn't exactly a lot of time. We found him, and I was like, go, 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 go.
Yeah,
That's true.
You mostly just said it was a weirdo who fought you, and he said, "What? I missed a fight."
Oh yeah.
Yep, I remember that. Can't believe you guys would fight without me.
I did not want to.
And we would have fought with you had you been there.
And you told him that if you got back to the group, then you'd have lots of fights together.
Can't believe you're gallivanting with a
If you
Fae.
hadn't been there, then we never would have been there. So You were never going to be part of that fight.
So you keep saying mean things about Zin?
No.
He feels safe on another plane of existence. He shouldn't, but he does.
No, I would never slight a Fae that's tied to Leah, or that is likes Leah.
He's like, I would never say that. I'm thinking it because we're using Telepathic Bond.
All of that only happened for me in like 2 or 3 hours.
We traveled for quite some time beyond that. Time in the Feywild functions very differently depending on where you are.
Like, did we fully tell Raiken about... Did we fully tell you, Raiken, about Laramentis' family?
I don't think so. Laramentis also has not said anything.
You missed out there, Dad.
Yeah.
Laramentis' family is something else.
They got a magic house. It's really weird with space.
They're running a
A magic
circus.
house?
If you're
It
ever
was a-
there,
Also,
remember to hold your breath.
Leah circus? What?
Yeah, Laramentis used to be in a circus. He
yeah,
used to juggle.
turns out he ran away from the circus.
You're telling me this now? This was such important information that should be told immediately.
His family's
We had a
there
wedding
wasn't
to
much
get.
time.
his family's huge too.
Yeah, he's got like 40 cousins that are all random people that they've picked up and added to the
And they're
family.
not random people. They're my cousins.
Larry,
They're the
maybe-
people
maybe
that
your
found their way
cousins-
to the family.
what did you do
I
during
didn't
the
even know
circus?
half of them.
It's true, but they're still family.
What did you do during the circus?
I mostly sold concessions.
Boring.
I heard that you juggled.
Oh yes, juggle for us. Let's see it.
I'm afraid I do not possess the equipment.
And Juggle
I,
Ash.
I conjure some small trinkets, like ball-like
Oh,
trinkets with prestidigitation.
What was this about holding breath?
No, let us see the juggle first.
Sure, come on,
Apparently,
Laramentis.
You're being offered some pommel
Here, I got it. I
Okay.
hand him some daggers. Juggle these.
Uh,
Well, you're real incentivized to do it well.
I will roll
Roll that
dexterity.
I mean, you can use acrobatics.
I would love to. If I had
Not
acrobatics.
performance? Isn't performance better? Or like...
It's technically my performance is better than my acrobatics.
You can fake it. Go for it.
That's a 19.
He appears to juggle very, very well.
I am a bit rusty, I say, as I'm doing this.
You can kind of say we'll clap.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
Very good.
Yeah, it's the most entertaining skill you have.
We couldn't get him to do it with his family around.
I am rusty enough that I don't think anyone would appreciate seeing me make the attempt.
What was his family like?
lot.
Like a circus.
Dang. We're gonna have to go back at some.
His dad was a bit judgmental, and his mother was very sweet, but I don't think she liked me too much.
Why would you say that?
Kick her ass.
You're very likable.
Well, I
Say all
mentioned
sorts of things.
I mentioned the drow
in
thing,
danger.
and I don't think she's ready for that yet. Or that she ever will be.
Oh, but
Things take time. Pa just didn't like the fact that we were needing to go and deal with Faye.
Which is reasonable.
So she might not have liked that. That doesn't mean that she doesn't like you, though.
I don't
It did
know. She
also
felt a
kind of
little cold after that.
tell a lot of stories about us putting there in grave danger. And about how we were going to go fight dragons.
Well,
She didn't seem to like that.
he didn't tell her about the time when he got all stupefied, I think.
I do think that one was avoided.
Told
Although,
her about the time where he abandoned us all to die so he could get away.
Did we tell her about the time when he got aged?
No.
Should I roll to see if I told Pa more than, than everyone else told the mom? Because I talked to Pa for a while about Lara Mendes. Just to be nice.
Yeah, you did sit with him for a while, telling stories of what the party's gone through.
Should I roll to see how much I divulged?
I mean, I think that sounds like you can just decide for yourself
Yeah,
what kind of
just
stuff
what-
you divulge.
Yeah.
Well, because
Arbitrate it. Tell your story.
sorry, Lara Mendes. I told your Pa probably almost everything.
Then I suppose it's good that we got away when we did. Give them a bit of time to collect all of that.
Wouldn't they have noticed the kind of accelerated aging a little bit? I mean, I know elves live a long time.
I'm pretty sure we fixed. Well, actually, that wasn't there, so never mind.
We were able to undo it, and also they have seen enough people come and go through the material plane and have good understandings of the way that time is different there. So their understanding of my age is likely already skewed.
I see. Well, sounds like I missed on quite the adventure.
It would actually be an interesting thing to think about what age they think Laramendus should be versus what age he actually is.
What is he actually?
He is 306.
He's a youngin'.
Not particularly.
Some elves live to be like 1,000.
No.
They live to be around 700.
So you're middle aged.
Yeah.
You still run around with us kids.
Children.
Yeah, I mean we're all pretty young for our respective races. An
Actually,
old
yeah.
person of any of our races would be young for him.
There have been plenty of times where Laramendus is dealt. I think there was when he was dealing with one of the archmages, the human one, and he was just like, like, oh yeah, I taught at the university before your parents were born. Yes, so that is about my family and my past in the Feywild, which is how I had come to know not to deal with Fey. And I would like to pass that on to as many people as will listen.
Well, now I'll know for next time when we go back to the Fae so I can meet your family.
Maybe we can get them to come here.
I doubt that.
We'll see. I think that brings us up to speed, unless there are other questions that you have for us about our time, since we grilled you quite a bit on your time.
No, I think I've got the gist of everything. Basically, Tresnor did stuff to protect the scale again, and now it's going to make it more difficult again.
Yes, it is.
Well, all we need is 2 Dragonborn. Unless you change the requirements to get it.
Change to the lock combination. 3
I
now.
need
Now it's
100
387 Dragonborn.
And 1 Mummy Lord.
The Mummy Lord is incredibly important.
They're the linchpin in that.
I like that the concern here is, when you say, and now, Tresnor's locked it up again, it's, well, we just need Dragonborn. It's like, and also, there's Tresnor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He
I
is a
realized going
whole
with
lich
everyone.
now.
Who is a whole lich until that soul runs out.
Which we do not know the amount of time. And I think if I sent to him to ask him, he would not tell me.
Might be able to commute it. Just see if it's less than a year.
Hey,
You
how
think we'll be able
long
to
is your
send it again?
lichness gonna happen?
I don't understand the question. Spell ends.
Never call here again. Noted.
It would probably just be blocked. Your magic has been blocked.
We're sorry.
The number you were trying to reach.
Wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen. That happened when you tried to reach Cyrus, remember? The sending subscriber you're trying to reach has been disconnected.
Alright, so since we have come to a decision, and we have now caught up in what has happened between us, what is our next course of action?
I don't know. I forgot what we were talking about.
My God.
Well, right
Whoa.
now, we're gonna bring the musket and the thunder gun to my sister.
I think you were going to check to make sure that Dusty wasn't wasting his time.
Oh, yes. I mean, do we have a... Can Ash tell me, like, the degrees of a thing from north? Can Ash function as a compass?
Let's find out. That's fun. He's full of knowledge, and this doesn't seem so specific that it should be barred. So he's able to, he goes, well, I think I might be able to help, though I don't know by how much, and you see the glow around him again shrink until it's small motes of light that you can see as individual glowing letters flowing around him. And then the stone seems to rise up a little higher and move away from you, Laramendas, and the letters like fall off of him onto the floor and then expand into a glowing map of Amaranta.
Fascinating.
That's new.
They always do that.
I mean, yes, but it is only so useful.
Maps are so useful.
Could you tell us the direction that the blue scale is in?
I will pull up my pendant, concentrate on it, and then say the direction.
You pull this star-shaped pendant out from the neck of your armor, and it is glowing with all of the colors, all 5 colors: red,
Oh, that's
blue,
right.
green, white, purple.
You said I had to press it, so I pressed the blue one.
You press the blue one, which flashes twice, and the other points dim out. It seems to disconnect itself from the chain around your neck, and it floats over your palm, spinning for a moment and wobbling, before it seems to, like, eventually on one of its rotations, it wobbles to a stop, and then rotates back, and wobbles a few times until it dynamically finds the direction it wants.
So I'm not sure what way we're facing. I'll be like, that way.
Could you stand on the insert name of city here?
Everwatch.
That's the one.
Ash will give me a moment, and he will attempt to expand the map, and you'll see it grows by, like, a zoom level. Like, you know, it grows by a few percentage points, and then he goes, I'm sorry, I cannot make it larger than this.
No, I was asking Yukikaze if he could stand on the point that is Everwatch.
Won't my feet like just like or whatever cover the whole thing, the map?
Or hold the pendant over. I want to see if it points in the direction of the middle of the sea.
I have oriented the map to be true north.
Alright, so I'll be over the map with the pendant.
Yes, you hold out your hand so that it is above the place you know Everwatch to be in Aspara. You find, though they're small, as the map wasn't able to be made, you know, the size of the entire floor. It's about the size of you. You do find the place where the rivers converge in northwestern Amaranta, and you know that's approximately where Everwatch is. And you can see that the point is wobbling in the direction of the northern portion of the Central Sea.
Excellent. I had mostly just wanted to know if they were going to be completely off in their search. It might be worth finding other equipment and things to then triangulate the position and let them know. But that will take a bit of time to get that equipment, I suppose.
Well, if we're also gonna find all the scales ourselves too, I could just like we could be on a boat and I'd fly over the sea because I have wings now, and kind of just like hold the compass out and fly in the direction.
Oh, I mean that Dusty and Kazunari and the remaining sentinels from that sect are heading in that direction, and I wanted to be able to tell them if they were going the wrong way.
I gotcha.
The glowing map peels itself up from the floor as individual motes of light that return to their orbit around the stone that is Ash, who drifts back to your shoulder, Laramendis.
I do whatever I need to do to turn off my pendant. I don't know what it is. Push the middle? I'll push the middle.
Push the middle, and the blue point flashes a couple times, and the others flash back into existence, and then it's glowing as it always has been.
Okay, it attaches itself back to the chain.
Yeah, so as you do this, it drifts away from the middle of your palm and clinks itself back onto the chain, the metal resealing itself as though it was never separated.
Thank you, Ash.
Also, Ikaze, I don't know if it's different for you, but I find flying to be somewhat exhausting. Flying over a whole body of water like that, with no real place to stop and rest, would at the very least suck, if not be impossible.
I have not flown for extended period of time yet, and I do need to test that. How long I could fly. Because the armor that gives me the wings, I don't know how much it physically taxes me to do so.
Oh.
So that will have to be something I test before we get any big fights or anything important happens.
Thomas, I sent you messages a while ago.
The best way to test that would obviously be flying over the ocean. That way, when
No,
if you do fail, it would sink right to the bottom.
It would be like go outside of town and fly around because I don't want to startle people in town. Go just outside of town and kind of like hover and fly around a little bit and see how long I can stay up in the air over solid ground. And not high off the ground either. I'm not dumb enough to fly up like 100 feet and then fall to my death.
That sounds like a weenie way of testing your limits.
Yeah, seriously.
I gotcha, probably.
Do it. Can you rearrange channel order?
Hmm?
Can you rearrange channel order in No, you can. Yeah.
No,
I know, I'm-
only the like admins in a server can do that.
No,
and it
no.
does
I
it for
mean,
everyone.
no,
You mean
no.
server order?
Channel. Server order.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you
servers, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's I didn't see that you'd sent me a message. This server is down in the list.
Oh, why is that? Hurt me.
I don't know.
It's my top server because I care about you guys.
It's
I
my
didn't
top
know that you
server,
could
too.
rearrange them.
It's among my top. Like I sort my servers in folders.
No, that's totally fair. If you didn't know you could rearrange them, then why would you have moved it?
There are folders?
Yeah, if you
folders.
if you drag one onto another one, it
Yeah.
puts it into a little.
Well, I can
Yeah.
just put
It's
all
the
the
best
ones that
thing
don't-
because you can also right-click a folder and mark as red if you want to mark multiple things as red.
I can put all the ones I almost never pay attention to in there.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea.
That cleans up nicely. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so so I will interrupt and just say, someone's coming into the building.
Thank you. Any idea about who?
I'll telepath to Skiff. Can you tell me anything about this person?
He appears to be a dwarf wearing robes.
Dwarf wearing robes.
White robes.
White robes.
Do they have a sun emblem on it?
Sun emblem? Any kind of emblem?
Yeah? A lot of gold and looks like the sun. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So, a cleric of Pelor or someone dressed like one.
I mean, it is the biggest temple pillar ever, right across the street.
What? Now that you are all stopped thinking at each other and paying attention, as Jebel has pointed this out, you do hear the great door shutting outside beyond this one, and people's voices, not understandable, leaking around the cracks in this door as clearly male and clearly female voices head further within the building. They don't seem to come to you or bother you in any way.
Well, there are multiple people in this building.
Might be here for my brother and my mother.
I would have been surprised if they were here to see us specifically.
Yeah, nothing about this situation addresses you specifically.
So the immediate next steps then, as Vandar had been mentioning, was taking the musket to his sister, and so that I thought, were we not taking it to Jebel's uncle, or are we referring him to your sister?
We were going to refer him to his sister,
Yep.
my sister, and see if she can, if she would like to bring him in.
Do you need more progress first, or are you not bringing it directly to your sister?
bringing it directly to my sister. I assume she'll have the engineers take it. Kind of thinking she'll want a demonstration of how it's used.
All of those seem reasonable.
And I will make the case for informing the Temple of the Temple of Ione, not Pelor. Temple of Ione. Although I'm not confident. I would also like to go to the Mages Guild. I would like to acquire an amount of ruby dust, and I intend to trade them some of my residuum for it.
Well, don't take me with you. They'll probably think you're a sucker if you're with me. Because I feel
What?
like I got suckered on the bags. But maybe not. Either way, just don't take me.
All right. Is there anyone who does want to go to the guild when I make that trip?
Leah made a noise.
Else to do.
Yeah, was that a me noise, or was that a meh noise?
It was a meh noise.
Okay.
Larry, you do know that your telepathy spell is soon to end.
Mm-hmm. We are very soon to lose Telepathic Bond. I think that it would not be a terrible idea to recast it before we split up to bring the musket to Vendar's sister, and I go off to the Mages Guild.
Agreed.
What does everyone else intend to do?
I think Raiken should come with us too, bringing the thunder gun. Someone do that, right?
Out of
Like Trigger
character,
Boom?
you noticed that every time Larmendus has mentioned it, he's mentioned specifically only the musket.
Yeah, I've noticed it.
Vendor has noticed it as well, and that's why he wants to make sure to bring the thunder gun as well.
I would ask that the thunder gun be a reason to share the knowledge with the Temple of Ione. Otherwise, there is no bargaining chip, and the knowledge will be kept only by Aspara, which is not beneficial to the world.
Boom, boom, boom.
When Larmendus says that he is looking at Vendar and Raiken, since he doesn't actually really get a say in this, it's their stuff.
Raiken thinks that's fair.
The big boom.
I think that's fair. I don't want this to be held by only one country.
Fine.
To be fair, I don't want it actually really held by anyone but me. But
That does just mean when you pass away, somebody else will find it and likely do what we are concerned about being done. And so the best way to make sure that everyone is prepared is that everyone knows how this functions. And
yes,
who knows, something good might come of it that isn't a weapon.
I also think that if it is going to be beneficial for anyone who tries to help us in our endeavor, then that I will side with that over keeping it from the world then.
I do think that the surest way that it can be beneficial to our future endeavors is to make the information more publicly available.
Which is why I'm agreeing with you.
So that accounts for Vendar, Raiken, and myself. I imagine at this point the bond ends, and so vocally, Laramentis will say, and the rest of you, what do you and where do you intend to be going?
If we're going to recommend Jebel's uncle help, he should probably be there to, give information and whatnot.
That seems reasonable.
Oh.
Cyrus, Yukikaze, Leah.
I don't have any specific thing I can do to help, like on my own. So, aside from going to the Mages Guild, would anyone like me to accompany them?
Same here. I'm in the same spot as Cyrus.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Probably, if that's the case, we should probably just mostly stick together.
Should go get some resources, maybe? Are we heading out someplace after here?
Well, I
Leave
mean,
soon.
we are soon going to need to come up with how we want to deal with what we've decided. That will likely mean leaving the city.
When we do leave, we'll probably go to the battlefield where my brother was taken first to try to figure out what happened to him via the Blair's new spell, Spyglass. Since that's nearby.
How far is that?
I mean, it was like in the fields outside Everwash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just outside the city.
Where you guys saw the siege equipment when you first got here months ago. Where you saw all the soldiers encamped.
We will need to be fairly precise in our physical location. So that is a thing that we'll want to have a better idea of.
See if I can track down one of his soldiers who was with him during the battle. They might still be around.
Might still. Alright, well, we are at time. We have the makings of some early planning for next session. So keep these thoughts in mind, and here is where we'll start next time as you're about to go off to these separate tasks. Isn't it nice being in a city where people mostly don't jump you and you can just split up whenever you want?
So nice.
And now I will be able to use my mana magic adept feat to cast Extended on Rary's Telepathic Bond, which means it can be 2 hours.
Nice, actually.
Yeah!
That's twice as long.
It is. That's massive. That's really cool.
Yep.
That's a good use of a sorcery point.
Yeah. He was trying to figure out what his second points. Was that your primary, or which one was your?
The primary one was subtle.
Yeah.
Subtle. Yeah, that was the
just because the being able to be like, I cannot allow this spell to be counterspelled.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is necessary.
Yeah.
But then Derek had mentioned Extended, and I'm just like, ooh, that works very well for the kinds of things that Laramentis does.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, sorcery points come back on a long rest, and you, as just taking this he do not get the ability to exchange them around like a sorcerer
Right.
does.
I get 2 points to spend on the meta magic abilities, and they come back on a long rest.
Okay, just double checking. Alrighty. Well then, I shall end it there. Everybody take your 1250 XPs.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, more now.
1250.
Marriage experience. 1250. Apply changes.
I'm almost to 200,000.
I am 330 short. Need these materials.
Alright,
So
don't worry.
close.
Next week will be worth 329.
I need
Well,
to do some generals.
Alright. Have a good night, everybody!
Good night.
Good night.
Night.